Hey, it's Brett. Thanks for stopping by my channel. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. So I wanted to come on today to kind of get caught up in the Booker excitement and to throw out my 13 titles, which I think maybe could be, I don't know. So stick around and I'll tell you what they are. All right, so I am going to preface this by saying one thing. I'm really excited and I love the Booker season because I always find so many of the books are really interesting, and I really this year want to try to read everything. Last year on the Gays Reading Podcast, we had on Gabby Wood, who is the chief executive of the Booker Prize, talking about the prize, talking about what goes into picking judges, talking about how difficult it all is. I'm going to link that below if you didn't see it and you're interested. It's just interesting to hear her take on things, and she's incredibly charming and a really fun interview. But beyond that, I think this is a really interesting group of judges. So I'm excited to see what the books are. I'm going to let you know that what I picked, I broke into different categories. The first being books that I've already read this year. And of that books I've already read this year, the first three, I feel fairly confident that they actually might get on the long list. The other ones that I've read, not so sure. And then the other group are things that I haven't read yet, but that have had, that I'm making some wildly not educated guesses on. So that's more for shits and giggles. Okay, so let's get started. The first book is probably one of the ones that I feel more confident about than most, which is Percival Everett's James. I just love this. The Huckleberry Finn story told from the perspective of Jim the slave. Really fantastic. Percival Everett was shortlisted in 2000 for his book The Trees. So who knows? That's one. Next is The Road to the Country by Chigozie Obioma. Again, I thought this was so fantastic, and I've already talked about it, but both of Chigozie Obioma's previous books were shortlisted. I would be really, really, really surprised if he doesn't end up at least on the long list. So we'll find out. My Friends by Hisham Mader. This was one of the first books I read this year, and I thought it was so fantastic. This was another, when I was putting together my halfway top 10, this was one of the ones I had in my initial pile, and it really is a fantastic story. Hisham Mader also was shortlisted for his book in the Company of Men in 2006. So there's another good reason why he also can make this long list. Okay, now we're going into, so those were my ones, so those were my feel pretty confident, these people have been on before, and these are also amazing works. All right, these next ones are things that I have read that are wild cards to me. Have no idea, but I'm just throwing them out there. The first is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. Again, read this at the end of last year. Kaveh came on the Gays Reading Podcast. He's so fascinating and interesting. This is such a fascinating book, and so I would love it if this made it. I think it makes the conversation very interesting, and I would be thrilled for him, but we'll see. All right, the first of my Irish books, The Coast Road by Alan Murin. I loved this book about three women. It's really set in Ireland before the referendum came out to grant divorce. And that's kind of what the impetus for the story is, and these three women. This is a wild card. I thought it was a really, really, really fantastic debut. Interestingly, quite a few of my books are debuts. Kaveh Akbar was as well, so we'll see. This is one I loved this book when I read it. Again, almost put this on my halfway top 10. I don't know why I didn't. It was like it was in that next group, which is Hard by a Great Forest by Leo Vardiashvili, set in Georgia, and a man who goes looking for both his brother and his father who've gone missing. I love this. I listened to this on audio, and I would highly recommend it. But great book. I would be thrilled. This is, wild card. These are all wild cards, let's be honest. Then, The Safe Keep by Yael van der Wooden. I loved this book so much. That is set in a rural Dutch province. I've gone on about this book before, and if you followed me at all, you'll know how much I love it. This would be a really interesting one to make it. Again, we'll see. All right, now we're into that segment of books I haven't read yet, but I have and that I'm interested in. The first one, and again, I feel really, bullish about this, is Celadonian Road by Andrew O'Hagan. I talked about this in my last video, and one of you were so kind to reach out and say it's like Dickensian in scope and it's fantastic. So I'm also, regardless of if this ends up on the long list or not, I'm going to do a buddy read of this over on Instagram. And if you're on Instagram and want to join in, great. But if you're not on Instagram but would kind of like to read along, email me at my email below, which is brettsbookstack@gmail.com, and I could send you the breakdown. But I wanted it to be something very manageable. It's going to be about 20 to 25 pages a day, starting at the beginning of August, and it will take us through the month, plenty of time before, if it is longlisted, before the shortlist comes out. So if that's something that's interesting to you, let me know, and please reach out. But I'm really excited to read this. Another book I have not read, barely know anything about, but I've seen some people talking about this as a possibility, and I thought, okay, Crooked Seed by Karen Jennings. It just says a woman in post-apartheid South Africa confronts her family's troubling past in this taut and daring novel about national trauma and collective guilt. Karen Jennings was also longlisted for the Booker for her book, An Island. So, again, wild card. Another one that I'm seeing pop up a lot of places now. I have a lot of friends who are reading it. So I went out and bought it today thinking, okay, it's really probably going to be on there. And I'm also kind of going through in my mind that if Celadonian Road goes well enough, this could be the second big monster Booker book if I'll do a read along of, which is Praiseworthy by Alexis Wright. Again, huge 650 page book, Australian writer, but everyone says it's worth the effort. It's truly amazing. I think this is like this year's Ducks Newburyport, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So again, if this is something that people would be interested in doing a read along of, let me know in the comments below or email me. Okay. Glorious Exploits by Fredia Lennon, which just this past week won the Waterstones Best Debut Award this year. I knew nothing really about this, so I'm really happy to suddenly hear all this buzz. It just says an utterly original celebration of that which binds humanity across battle lines and history. This would also go down as yet another Irish choice, which I didn't even realize Fredia Lennon was Irish, a Dubliner. But I can't wait to read this. And even if it wouldn't get nominated, I'm still so excited to read it. And it's certainly going to be a something to knock out in August. Two more books. Continuing Irish. The Alternatives by Caelan Hughes. This again sounds so good, about four sisters whose parents died when they were young. Years later, they're all into their lives, and one of the sisters goes missing, and the three other sisters kind of descend into Ireland to find their sister. I've been told it's really interesting narrative, the structure. I think at one point it becomes almost like a play. It sounds exactly like the kind of thing I'm really going to dig. So again, if this doesn't make the list, I'm reading this anyway, and it's probably going to be in August. But so there's that one. And the final one I got from the library through my Kindle I don't have is Orbital by Samantha Harvey, which is about a group of astronauts who are circling the Earth. And it's one day in their life, and it kind of follows the different astronauts and their thoughts and their reflections while they are aware of a typhoon heading for the island that they're all from and all their families are on, and what could potentially happen. It sounds a really interesting concept and idea. It sounds a little bit like In Ascension in a way to me. So we'll see. So that's my list. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Are you excited about the Booker? Are you a Booker person, or could you care less? Great. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you all soon.